He was playing a what was he playing? Brennen with it was the double monk Brennen. Um, Essentially, open memories for the second monk. So I started with open memories. I opted for open memories just so I could get a second owl out. Because I was thinking to myself, all right, so if he decides to take out one of my owls, I'll have a backup. And the other reason was so if, let's say, um, well, I was basically thinking I want to get rid of his options, right? I wanted to get rid of the damage that he could do from his hand and replace it with the damage that, and essentially just suffocate his options from him. Um, so I started off with the Three-Eyed Owl book. Um, it was a safer play just to try to put out as much pressure as I could. Uh, I meditated three, and I forgot to. So he was a good guy. He told me that I had to meditate one more. So that was really cool of him. All right, so he played the Summon Gilder, and I think I think if he were to play again, I feel like changing it up, maybe not having the Gilder would have been uh, a better play, or at least I don't know some of the. So he was trying to deal as much damage to me, to my face as much as I could. I shouldn't say to my face, to my Phoenixborn. He was trying to deal as much damage to my Phoenixborn as he could. So I don't know. I feel like the Gilder isn't all that necessary, especially since he's got the second monk too. Um, got out the Glowfinch just in case he would take out my owl. Now, once again, throughout this game, after round two, I started seeing, like there was a very obvious sort of trend that he was going on, which was throwing everything that he could at me directly. So at that point, I kind of after round two, I started not really worrying too much about my units. But so right there, you saw that this is for like um, anybody who's like new at this game or still learning. Um, it's better to just leave. Like if something isn't going to kill your unit, then you might as well just let them damage your unit. If you're playing with Leo and Glowfinch, right? Like Glowfinch is there to protect your units. So, what better way than to, if they want to deal that extra damage? I knew he didn't have anything like um, mass damaging, and I knew that he was going to discard some kind of ally, like even if he had a fire archer or in this case an anchornaut, he would discard that to my owl, and that's actually what I wanted him to do because I want him to use up his resources. I want him to use his ceremonial die to get back his anchornaut, and that's why I kept going and bringing the. So that's why I decided to open memories for a three-eyed owl, another summon three-eyed owl. Oh, why shouldn't I say to your face? That was the whole thing from the main action. where they everybody during a reaction they were saying, "Oh, you got to stop saying to your face. It's so vulgar or something like that." And I don't know, I'm just trying to be respectful. So Nick, slotting Anchornaut against Owls, that is great. But if, like I said, if I have no problem with them, like he's bringing back his Anchornaut right there, and I have no problem with him taking it back. At this point, it's either um, exhausting his resources in hand, or I'm going to try to force him to exhaust his resources dice wise. Right now he has. See, okay. So he's open memories. He's using open memories for the monk, the second monk. But yeah, so let's say he discards his anchor knot, and then he brings it back, and then he has to discard it again. All right, like that's he's used the die to have to bring it back, and I'm completely fine with that. I dropped my expand energy clumsily. First game of the day, really, really nervous. I'm just sifting through my cards, even though I've seen them 1,000 times. But yeah, no, I agree. Meditating for the ceremonial to bring it back is is something that I want you to do. So you are completely right, Nick. Boo, Eric. Boo. And I opted to not start Dove, so I started Owl, Open Memories, um, Hammer Knight. What else did I start? I can't remember. Oh, Violinist and Expand Energy. There we go. I'm glad you could find time to watch my stream, and I really hope that you're having a fun time in Iceland too. By the way, Eric. I think I decided to take the sound off because it was everything was like super muffled, um, and I thought maybe the sound off help uh, might help with keeping um, the amount of the size down on the videos, but in retrospect, I feel like I should have just kept the sound on. All right, so there he threw his gilder at me. Um, I think he tried to attack me directly with the gilder, and I mean, the violinist is literally just there to soak up damage because there's no point in me even having it out technically. Um, this late in the round. So there, I meditated for a ceremonial. I'm gonna play that Hammer Knight. He now has pretty much nothing left to do, and I am trying to clear out his board. We were discussing whether or not we should switch it around, the me and you, just because the camera would pick it up super, you know, backwards. Anyway, so I decided to kill off the. So he took the 4 from the Hammer Knight because he really wanted to keep his Butterfly Monks. Um, and I ended up just aftershocking and dealing a damage anyway. Um, 3 damage, not too shabby. It's still it's 3 damage on him, and I was actually really surprised when he decided to take it. I mean, then again, it would have been he would have had like a completely empty board. But there we go. There's the updated version of EV. So Joe, I did first 5 the Hammer Knight. I essentially had a first 6. Well, kind of because of the open memories. Not really. All right. So now he's starting, and once again, I think I have a sympathy pain, so I have no problem with him, shooting damage at me. Like right now, I have such a full board, and I've got 2 owls out, 2 owls that have survived. So that means I'm getting rid of 2 cards. Like assuredly, I'm getting rid of 2 of his cards. Um, when he plays the second chant, I did get a little worried, just because every single time that he kills his butterfly monk, he's dealing 4 damage to me, and he heals 1. So that was a little worrisome, but at the same time, I think I felt like I could still out damage him. I mean, I still had my hammer knight, or blah, I still had my hammer knight. And if he killed off his butterfly monk now, I knew he couldn't kill it off now. So, um, so I had that. And I didn't mill out Skylar too, because I knew facing against Brennan, it's not gonna be a stall game because if I tried to stall him out against a Brennan that's just constantly pushing damage, I would never win. Um, and there's the final cry. I don't remember if I was worried at this point or not because I knew that there was a such a huge gap between our lives. Um, no, I had used Bloodchain, so he had a chance to respond, and he responded with playing the Gilder, so I couldn't actually swing in with the Hammer Knight. At this point, I was thinking to myself, I he's got quite a bit of units left on the board, so I might as well attack. I think that's what I did. We'll see. I believe I was holding two anguishes. That's why I was waiting. I was waiting for him to deplete his hand and to use up all his resources. I don't think he was really expecting it. Um, oh, he opted to get rid of the Anchornaut first. That might have been a misplay by him because I feel like if he got rid of his butterfly monk instead, um, that would have been a better play, just so he could have gotten another life out of that. But he's sitting at 4 dice right now, and I just want him to like use up all of everything he has. Oh, that's right. He didn't want to meditate for a to get yeah. He was thinking whether or not he should meditate or not. And I decided to ping the Gilder with my EV. Ah, the Moon. So that brings me down to 9. So yeah, really big life total change, but I knew that I had the anguish. I had two. I was sitting on two anguishes, and I needed to get rid of his die or his last card. So I went for I went for that first. So I have one, two, three, four, five dice. I've already used my expand energy. Um, and he had a sympathy pain, and he had two dice left. This turn was a really big one for me. So he discards his final sympathy pain. He doesn't have anything else that he can do. I pump up my Hammer Knight and go for an Anguish first. There was a little confusion about how Anguish worked, so I'm just letting him know about how it's done. So he gets rid of the two dice and takes the two, and he passes, and now there goes the other Anguish. Like I said, huge turn for me. Like I dealt 6, 11, 12 damage to him. And then the last draw, this draw, I drew into a sympathy pain, and I drew into a molten gold. And so at this point, all I needed him to do was just deal damage to me. Like that was what I was hoping for. I wanted to do, of course, as usual, I wanted to do the sympathy pain first, um, so that I could then go for a molten gold to finish, and I believe that is what happens. Um, yeah, I did attack with my EV. I attacked with the EV, and I attacked with the Hammer Knight. So I get everything lined up. I know I mean at this point I don't need anything else. I If I needed to, I could just attack in. Um, yeah, I fixed that because he had dealt two to me with the chant of revenges. Uh, what ended up happening there? What? Yeah, I'm not sure what I was thinking there. I think okay, so I think I wanted to make sure that he didn't have anything left in his hand because I didn't want him to uh like he just did right there. I didn't want him to redirect anything. I didn't want him to be able to sympathy pain. But yeah, Eric, I think you're right. I could have looking back at it, I could have ended it a little bit earlier by just attacking with everything and then molten gold next turn. Oh, you know what? I do remember thinking that. I attacked with the hammer knight and all right, so this is what happened during the match. I attacked with the hammer knight and right after I attacked with it right after I attacked with it, I thought to myself I was thinking to myself maybe I should attack with everything else, but then um I had already passed the turn. So at that point I was like, "Oh shit. I should have declared all attack with everything." Um yeah, that was definitely a mistake on my part. I should have attacked with everything. And I did realize it afterwards. I do remember thinking to myself I should have just attacked with everything. And then when when that didn't play out, I was still pretty sure that I was going to win because of the fact that I had, the Final Cry, the Molten Gold, and the extra Hammer Knight in my hand, and the Sympathy Pain. Um, so it didn't set me back too much. Um, but yeah, the double anguish was just so good for me. Being able to draw into uh, two anguishes was, I think that was what really killed him. Yeah, when I watched this game over again, I mean, I completely forgot about how much damage I dealt to him um, myself, and just think about it, I was like, wow, that was huge amount of damage to Brennan. Um, there was no way he could recover from that. But he definitely could have, being in range. He definitely could have saved himself somewhat. I think if he had meditated his books away. Um, but I can't remember what was the last card in my hand, but it may not have mattered. All right. So yeah, he ends up getting me down to 3 life. Actually, there we go. There's the three. Yeah, that was what I was saying. Um, with my little hand motion there. How I should have, when he only had that one butterfly monk, I should have attacked with everything. All right, so that was against Skylar. That was really, really. I mean,